Hi, Mike.
Hey, Joanna.
So, Mike, what is active listening?
Well, that's a great question, Joanna. Active listening, firstly, is one of the most fundamental communication skills that you can learn. And it's a skill that most people think they're good at, but actually a lot of people could use a little bit of improvement. When you're having a discussion with somebody, how many times have you been sitting there and they're talking, and instead of really listening to what they're saying, you're focusing more on what you're going to say next. Now, I catch myself doing this. I think everybody does it. Now, how can you be listening when you're doing that? So, what we're really trying to do is build a habit here with a specific process that makes us really pay attention to what the person is saying with the intent of fully understanding them, with the intent of understanding what they're saying and being able to explore the meanings, the interests behind what the words they're using at that point. So yeah, Joanna, back to you.
Yeah, so what's interesting is that people convince themselves through objections.
Mhm.
And there's a quote by Blaise Pascal that says, people are usually more convinced by the reasons discovered by themselves than by those found by others. So we are going to look at an objection handling technique that helps us explore the interests behind the positions. So when someone is having an objection, um, they usually have an interest behind their position. Yeah. And I would like to ask you, Mike, how would you describe this handling technique?
Well, Joanna, what I'll do is I'll actually take us through the process because I have a nice slide that will show us this process step by step. Let me share it here. Now, when most people raise an objection, and by an objection, what we mean is somebody saying, "Oh, I can't do that," or "the cost is too high," or "I don't like that idea," or anything like that. When they're pushing back on something that you've proposed in a discussion. Now, this active listening model works for everything. Every conversation you'll ever have. We use the objection handling as a specific context to learn it, but it is very much universally applicable. But what do most people do when they receive an objection? If somebody says to you, "Oh, the price is too high," most people will do one of two things. Half of the people will say, "No, it isn't. Blah, 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 XYZ. This is why the price is not too high." So they'll immediately kind of combat it and give an answer to it, right? The other half of the people will say, "Oh, you think the price, sorry, why do you think that? You think the price is too high, or have you looked at our competitors?" Or they'll ask a question straight off the bat to try and explore that. And that's a better approach. That's a better thing to do than immediately answering it. Because as you said, Joanna, it's all about exploring the interests behind the position. They've said the price is too high, but what do they mean by that? Are they comparing you to a competitor? Is it more than they were paying before? Is it more than their budget can allow? In what sense is it too high? So what we promote is this objection handling technique. And before you give an answer, before you even ask a question, what you want to do is simply show to the other person that you have heard their objection and you've understood their objection. And the easiest way to do that is simply to accept it by repeating. So I actually have done this so much that I almost gave it away a moment ago. If somebody says, "Oh, the price is too high," the first thing you can say is, "Oh, you think the price is too high?" Or, "So the price, you see us as quite expensive." So you can kind of repeat it or you can rephrase it, but you're not really adding anything to it. All you're doing is saying it back to them. And as I said, you're showing them that you've heard what they said. And that is really the most important stage of the objection handling technique. It also stops you from leaping into your kind of maybe habitual process of giving an answer or asking a question. It allows you to take a step back for a second, just repeat what they've said, and then they're going to respond to that, and they're going to respond positively because you showed them that you've actually heard what their issue is. So once you've accepted by repeating, then you want to ask clarifying questions. With the example with the price, as I said, there could be many ways in which they think something's too expensive. Maybe they don't understand the benefits. Maybe they, again, see a competitor, but maybe the competitor is less experienced. All of these things where they're making a comparison, they see it as too expensive, but you want to understand the interest behind that position. Once you've asked those clarifying questions, which should be open questions and exploratory questions, you've got a good picture of what the objection really is. Only then should you offer an answer to it. So this process, if nothing else, is great because it stops you jumping to that answer, which is very likely going to cause a conflict. Once you've offered an answer, you've said, okay, you've said it's too expensive. We've explored the reasons why you believe that. Here is my response. Here's why we say it is not too expensive. It's a fair value. Once you've done that, you then, of course, you just want to check, does that answer your problem, or are you satisfied to move forward? And if they say yes, then perfect, you've done your job. That's amazing. If they still feel as though they're not satisfied, then that's the point at which you should offer a counter. So you've said, oh, we can't match you in this area, but how about if we go down this avenue to find more value for you? So the objection handling technique, again, is absolutely fundamental. You will find yourself using this in your business life, outside of your business life, for everything. And it really does help to make you a better communicator. So make sure when you're negotiating, somebody objects to you, then you first accept by repeating, then clarify the objection, and only then give your answer.
Mm-hmm. So this counter step, I've got a lot of questions in trainings about this one. So just to clarify, it means that you admit that you are unable to satisfy their concern, and you repeat something about your proposal that is strong.
So yes, there are multiple ways of dealing with this. As you said, you're at the point where you've given a response to their objection. Hopefully they've accepted that response, but if they haven't, then you want to move forward. So how can you move forward? So countering is effectively, as you said, highlighting a different aspect of the proposal, which makes it still very valuable to them, or maybe bringing in an alternative offer that you can give to them. So if we're talking about pricing, maybe you have 3 different options and 3 different tiers. You're trying to sell them on let's say the middle tier. They're saying it's too expensive. You explain why it's worth the value. You give an answer. If they're still not accepting that, then what you might then do is say, well, we have the base tier, which is more affordable if that suits your balance better. So that might be an example of a counter that you can offer.